Well, hello friends. Very good evening. And first of all, I would like you to subscribe to this channel because if you subscribe to this channel, you'll keep getting some good content, the content which is aimed at the betterment of the humanity. Because we always come up with some knowledge which is very critical and which is really very important, especially if you want to lead a very happy and very successful life. And in the same kind of fashion, today we are here with a different kind of topic, and that is very philosophical one. Because so far we had topics which were based which were related to politics and communication skills. We also had certain topics like topics on religion, but this time we are here with a topic that is based on philosophy, and we are going to talk about different philosophies in the days to come. But here today we have decided to discuss the philosophy, the Western philosophy. And when we talk about Western philosophy, the name which comes on our tongue is none other than Socrates, because he's known to be the father of Western philosophy, and he's generally known for his no the kind of knowledge he has imparted through his philosophy is he has left nothing, no recording, especially
Right.
especially in writing, because whatever he said, whatever he taught, that we know that those philosophies through his disciples, and one of
Settled.
the guys, I think,
Super.
Plato.
Yep.
Right. So, and what is beauty about this philosophy is that he always encourages people to question their existence, right? Because in today's time, what we are doing, we are just living, but we have never questioned that what we are living for and how we are living and what kind of legacy we are going to leave for the people to follow, right? For the people to live by, right? So this is something we are going to talk about. So Raban, first thing I would ask you to speak on is, as a philosophy, we are talking about this Socrates philosophy. So he's very popular for asking ourselves probing questions. One
Yep.
of our previous videos, I had a discussion with you, and I said something about Socrates because he was very knowledgeable, but at the same time he would do something which people could not understand.
Right.
As I told you that day, that he would keep standing at the marketplace, and he would keep looking at the windows. Sorry, he would keep looking at the shops, and he would do a kind of window shopping from there. And because this was his habit, one day people asked him that a person like you, a person so intelligent, such a scholarly person like you, why do you keep standing there and but buy nothing? Because if you stand there, then you are supposed to buy something, but you don't buy anything. You keep standing over there. Why do you do so? You never buy anything at all. So what he said was quite amazing, and this can lead people question their own existence, right? He says that sometimes when I look at these shops, I just question myself, oh my God, there are so many things in this world I can do without. I don't need them at all. So there are so many things in this world we can do without. And what we are doing in this world is we are falling prey to the consumerism, right? And then this particular thing keeps tempting us to keep buying, right? And this is where this philosophy comes into play, and this can teaches us. So sometimes this can also can force us to ask what we are doing and why we are doing these things. Generally, we keep doing things, but we never ask ourselves what's the importance, what's the, you can say, what why we are doing that, and what how we are going to be benefited by those particular things which we do, whether they are important or they are unimportant, whether they are going to be useful to other people as well, or we are doing those things because they are useful to us, and we are not at all concerned about other people. So this is something which he has taught in the
Yeah.
families. So
Mm.
Robin, I just want you to say something about this philosophy, that he forces people, he encourages people to keep asking about whatever they're doing, and whatever they are willing to.
Okay, first of all, a very good evening to you and to all the audience. And I'm really exhilarated for one reason that today, finally, we have such a discussion regarding philosophy, and that too about a person who is known for his critical reasoning, for his
Yeah.
critical, analysis, and he's the one who taught to the entire Western, country uh, about the significance of questioning on
Yes.
everything that comes to them. Questioning is very important according to him, and in fact he lays down the foundation of Western philosophy
Yeah.
on the sole ground of questioning, because once you ask the question, thereafter comes a series of questions.
Yes.
So according to him, question is itself an answer. So therefore, until unless you ask a question, there is no such answers to be responded, right? So in this way, he tries to, influence people around him. We can assume because then there was no such technology. Moreover, there was no such
No
kind of
written, no written record.
no written record. There was no such method used for writing purposes. So it is just through his disciple Plato, who fortunately could provide his works before us, and through him we could know all about it, and the importance of questioning, importance of the very famous, phrase "know thyself" means know yourself, is
Yeah.
one of his famous proverbs, which is often used even today, right now. So whenever you go and start any business or any question that you have in your mind, the first very question, the first very thing that should be initiated with, the very first thing, that is know yourself. Because everyone, according to him, on this planet is just to find out their existence, the purpose of their existence, right? So in this way, he makes and compiles up his study in such a way which which has been so much influential for hundreds of years. I mean, there is a temple I had discussed with you already in Greek, and with the name of I forgot the name of the temple, but there is a board right on the on the very first gate, the very prime entry of this, and there is a special mentioning on the board that says that everyone is is everyone has a right to ask a question
Yes.
on everything that is served to them. That is also defined and termed and coined as a meotic vision. Meotic vision is much similar to the Socrates method of questioning and answering, right? So this is all the way of how he, compiled of everything. So this is the one part of the, discussion. But today we see his study in all segments, in all possible departments right now, even if it is science, even if it is, education, even if it is sports, the businesses, all you can see the study, uh, the examples, the preachings of the Socrates, right? In fact, he is much inclined towards ethical lifestyle. He has
Yeah.
given much priority, to very sensible, lifestyle, which includes less consumerism, less consumerism. Yes, so he was not staunchly against of materialism, but he had his opinion, which said that people must be limited in consumption. They should be very sensible consumer, right?
Yeah.
So he also, in some way, put his thrust on this very idea, because according to him, everything is here on this planet is very limited. So we this is our, responsibility to preserve it for the generations, for the generation, to enjoy it.
Yes.
So I mean, all these things which are very, I can say, uh, cleverly put by him, and that's what we think we should be thankful about for what he has done, right? So that's what could be uh, the beginning of this, discussions. Over to you.
One thing one thing amused me a lot, which actually he is of the thinking. What he says that, there is a beauty in what he said. He said that one thing I know, that I know nothing, and there is a
Mm.
beauty, right? Because this can really
Yeah.
force you to question yourself. Because generally, what happens when you study and when you learn about something, and you kind of gain a kind of mastery over that particular thing. So you think that now you know a lot, but you know that there is no parity in this world. If you know something, there is person who knows better than you, right? So when he says that one thing I know, I know nothing, when you realize that you don't know anything at all, then you has that hunger to know more and more. And this is what can help you develop yourself, your personality. And as a result, the people around you will also be getting benefited from it. So this is a big statement which he made, although this may seem to be a foolish statement made by a person so scholarly as him. So this sometimes can be contradictory. Sometimes this can be paradoxical as well, because when a person like him, a person so intelligent like him,
Mm.
says some things like this, makes a statement like this, people find it quite difficult to believe. Because when a person gains something in his or her life, they kind of become arrogant and very proud of themselves. And this is what is going to put a lid on the potential, right? This is what I personally feel. If I think that I know everything and I don't need to do anything more, then I will be stopping myself from bettering myself, from learning, which is still possible for me. And this is how I would be means I would become my own sworn enemy, to be honest. Because somewhere we people are our own enemies, because we have learned something which is not at all important, which is not at all you can say useful. Because when you think that you do everything, so this is you have put a full stop in front of yourself, or in the way of your progress. So I really like this statement when this he made this kind of statement. One more thing he says that a person should keep asking the questions of his or her existence.
Right.
That's what people never do, because we are so busy in this fast-paced world. We are so busy in our own things that we never ever question that why do we do things which we are actually doing. For example, if you are spending, so I think 9 to 10 hours doing your own work. Same is the case with me. And still, if I don't sit for quite a while, if I don't sit alone and I don't ask whatever I'm doing, I think I can never know the purpose of this life. Because to know the purpose of your life, you have to seclude yourself from the crowd. Because what we think that being the part of the crowd is going to make you feel complete, but this is incorrect, in my own view. Because what I think that if you want to know yourself, if you want to know your purpose, if you want to know yourself fully, then you have to seclude, or you can say you have to become a kind of recluse. Because why do we go to people, why do we go out and entertain ourselves?
Right.
This is the misconception, I would say.
Mm.
Many people would not be agreeing with me, but what I feel is that when you think that other things or other people can make you complete, I think this is a wrong conclusion, I would say. Because you find that after some time you get bored. When if you are getting bored, then how can you think that those things are going to complete you? For example, if you are suppose you love eating a certain kind of food, but if you are given, if you are served the same food every day, can you eat it every day? You'll be getting
Right.
bored at times. And this is what this principle teaches us, that one thing I should, I mean, so he when he says that one thing I know, that I know nothing, You should keep asking yourself. You should keep questioning your, the validity of the things you're doing. You should keep questioning your existence. You should keep questioning the things which you're doing. And this is what can bring the best out of yourself. And this is how you can lead the best life possible on this planet. Otherwise, you'll keep doing things, but you'll never be keeping a track of what you're doing, and you'll always be dumbfounded by the things you're doing. You'll always be thinking that why am I here and why am I here for?
Right.
You'll always be in this dilemma, right?
Right.
So the next thing which I want you to discuss is, or you
Be-
can ask
Before
me
before
if.
before before you say something, okay, you make your you put your
No,
question first, then I'll respond.
if you want to ask anything, you can ask because this
No,
is
I'm
what
not
I
asking.
believe.
I just want to add one thing to your point. You know, it's a very famous phrase, very popular, and in fact, it touches upon almost people's soul. You know, what's that? That one who accepts one's ignorance
Yeah.
is the most wisest person living on this planet.
Yes.
So when we say that we need to ask this question, in fact, when he says this, he actually means something else, which is often untouched, and that is that when you ask a question to an authority, which sounds to be an authority, which seems to be an authority, then you are actually open up scope
Yeah.
for a further understanding about the subject. What happens right now in this current situation, and that could be the fittest example, classical example, that when people comes out with their ready-made philosophies and those rituals and cultural practices, and just because of something has been for several years in practice, and it has been gone unnoticed without someone putting any question against them,
It has
then
become
it
deep seated.
becomes,
It has become deep seated, and because
yes,
nobody questioned.
and no one question, and therefore it becomes the necessity for people to
Yeah.
abide by to
Hmm.
abide by going to the point where even something bad or something unseemly is happening,
Yeah.
we willingly or unwillingly have to accept it. Therefore, this question comes in that anything that comes to you, it's your right, it's your duty to ask the validity of that particular thing's existence, regardless of the source from where it comes. So even people say it is right from a certain sacred book, and
Yeah.
then even when such situation arises, he maintains his composure, he maintains his statement that at any cost the question must be thrown against it, and this question must be put in a series, right?
Yeah.
Until your conscience is satisfied. See, our conscience is something very you can say uh, a dynamic, you know part of the body, right? And it is the only aspect of the body which is highly you can say with a certain kind of you know uh, ability that is called discretion, right?
Yeah.
So it's our intellect, it's our mind that is having a certain ability to discrete things, to have an idea on things, right? So until unless you ask these questions to people, to anything that comes to you, you cannot reach to the conclusion. So when you said it is our right to reach to the conclusion according to our personal consciousness, right?
Yeah.
People have their own personal understanding about a thing, but as we say that everything is very relative. Moral values are relative. Ethical values, in many views, are relatives, right? So everything is relative, and therefore we need to apply our conscious every single time.
Yeah.
Something which might sound good and acceptable,
Acceptable. Yeah. Then we
it
should be
is
going
not
with it.
possible. Huh? So it is something, you are a different case, right? You are absolutely an individual case, and everything that is touching upon you as an object, and that thing touching upon you, then you should be you should yourself consider as an individual object, and you should treat that thing as a separate thing which is obviously only to you, and therefore your responsibility towards making a discretional judgment is very important. So therefore he says all these things, and therefore we must take his word seriously.
You know,
Indeed.
one thing I just, as you mentioned that he used to talk about principles. I got to know about one thing from his life that he says that if I can embrace death, then to compromise with my principles.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
much, he was so much adamant, he was so much, I would say, resolute that he would not compromise his principles. Come watch me, right? And that shows that how much determined he was. One thing I learned while I was reading about him is that he talks about that as we are talking about principles, we are talking about questioning. So one thing he talked about is he also talked about that we should also always be trying to examine our life, right?
Right.
As you go to the doctor, and what does the doctor do? The doctor simply examines you, right? And therefore after examination, after examining you, he reaches his conclusion that what
Right.
type of medicine he should be prescribing a particular person. And this is how we can also get to know about everything, right? If we
Right.
don't examine ourselves, if we don't examine the things. One incident I know I'm reminded of is actually my guru, and he is because he is a I would say he is a kind of incarnation, right? So he has been a wonderful, I would say, a whiz kid since his birth. So when he was just 9 years old, he used to study the people's horoscopes professionally. He was just 9, and he used to study people's horoscopes, you know
Okay.
you can say,
Mm. Mm.
professionally. When he was, I think, in class 11th, he became the editor of an English newspaper in India, right? And at when he passed his 12th, he went to Australia, and then he did his business, his master's in business. One thing I'm trying to tell you about him is that he is a monk. And when he was a kid, he read a lot about the religion in the books, I mean scriptures, in different mythological books. So he wanted to check it out with those scriptures, whether some whatever is written in those scriptures is really true, or
Mm.
it's just there for the reading. So he wanted to check the validity of those things which were written in the Puranas and Vedas and all those scriptures. And then he renounced the world when he was just 13. He was among the richest person in the world. He was running a billionaire company, software company. He became the richest person, right? And then he thought of renouncing the world and wanted to experience whatever was written in the scriptures. And to be honest, he says that I just wanted to he has experienced the manifestation of God. He has had the vision of the goddess. So he says that you don't have to follow anything with your eyes closed. You have
Right.
to check it out, you have to examine it, you have to
Mm.
you cannot just believe whatever somebody has said, because that can be
Right.
the other person's own experience. What about you? What is your discovery? You are here to discover yourself, you are here to discover your meaning, you are here to discover the purpose of your life, and it
Right.
can only be done by you yourself. You cannot simply be following somebody because they have done something and you are following them. You cannot experience what the person experienced, because this is their own way, and
Right.
they now know how they discover themselves. But this, the
Right.
same formula, the same philosophy, the same thing cannot be applicable to you as you, because
Right.
your approach may be maybe contradict maybe opposite, or maybe different from the other people, right?
Right.
So therefore, whatever Socrates says, that we have to examine each and everything,
Right.
whatever we find around us, whatever we see in us. So we have to keep everything we have to keep examining each and everything.
Right.
So the next thing, I want you to talk something about this unexamined life. What does he mean when he says that a person should not lead an unexamined life? What do you think about it, or what is, or your take on it?
Okay, so I'll start with this very famous phrase, as we have discussed earlier on already. That is, know thyself means know yourself.
Yeah,
So this phrase is very vast. First of all, it is not just confined to one individual. So when we say we have to start our journey of life with ourselves to find out where we are and what is the purpose of life, but implicitly there is a meaning which is very enlarged and that encompasses every possibilities. So when you are considering yourself as a separate entity, right, and then you are beginning your journey of life with you, then you are actually try to figure out every single thing that comes in your contact, right? So when I go and try to find out my purpose of life, so it's not only me living on this planet. Around me there are several things. Around me that is you. Around me there are number of books. There are number of events happening all together, and all are there to interact me in some or other ways, right? And then this very need arises that we need to ask the question, right? So thereafter this journey begins. So everything that comes in your contact and that has a certain relationship with you and that is going to be a part of your life, when all these things are satisfied as preconditions, it's your duty, your right to ask to examine a particular thing, the
yeah,
validity of a particular, before you give your wholehearted acceptance. Because once you accept a certain thing, as it happens, country like India, where crores of people are following one ritual for several years just
yeah,
because of it has become a norm, and there is no as such power that establishes here that can defy this norm. So this very thing is often questioned. This kind of situation which even today arises was almost a target of this Socratic, and therefore he always influenced people that why we should examine each and everything. Second important thing, when you go with this very question to know everything, then you are actually increasing and you are working on your self awareness, isn't it? I mean, we have discussed a lot about self awareness from the Vedas point of view, from the Bhagavad Gita's point of view. I'm not including that Vedas and Bhagavad Gita. We will have a separate discussion on it some other day because this is like a series of philosophy.
yeah.
So you'll
So
cover up and
basically,
try.
we're talking about Socrates when a philosophy right
Yes.
now.
And one day we will try to compare all these things,
Yeah,
right? So when we try to understand, this very question, know yourself, know thyself, it means that you are trying to develop a self-awareness within you. Let's understand this with one example. Many times it happens with us in our life that our relationship goes spoiled, and it happens just because of uh, our short temperament. Sometimes it is just because of some frustration,
yeah,
just erupts. Sometimes we are uncontrollable for any of the reasons, like we are
yeah.
after all human, and we are we are prone to behave like this in certain conditions under certain circumstances, right? So at this point of time, when you have a strong self awareness, and it is often seen people having self awareness at a very high degree, they are very well regulator on their life, means they are the one who have the better understanding towards relationship. So when you ask everything to yourself, every action that you do, every reaction you are going to make, you are actually doing it with self awareness because your conscious level is pretty high, your concentration power is pretty high. So thereafter you leave no scope or a very less scope of any loss that you're going to face after that action. So in other words, we can say you are minimizing your loss in your life. After all, if you even see and understand from the ethical point of view, it's what you have said previously, that Socrates was a personality, was such a staunch personality, and so resolute and determined that he was okay, you know, with
To embrace
death.
death, to embrace
Yes,
death,
and
then to compromise
he
his
was not
principles.
ready to compromise on his values, ethical
Yeah.
values. In fact, there is a famous story you might have heard. Crito is actually the friend of this Socrates,
Yeah.
and this man once, came to meet this Socrates in the jail. Actually, Socrates was,
Executed, I think. He was executed.
he was in he was imprisoned,
Yeah.
by the
And
by the Athens.
later he was executed.
He was not executed. Actually, his punishment was that he had to, drink a bowl of or a cup of poison, right?
Okay. Hmm.
And actually, on the ground, he was, declared this punishment was actually faulty, and therefore his friend Crito came to meet him and came to rescue him. This meant Socrates to prove his values and to prove why ethics is more important than even one's life. He stayed there and embraced death. So he, according to him, ethics, moralities, and acceptance to the law and acceptance to a particular social contract, according to him, is more important to be complied by a particular person than to think about rescuing oneself. That was his opinion. Therefore, he was so, comfortable in embracing his own death when he even knew that his death was based on some faulty grounds, because the judgment which was declared against him was absolutely inhuman, right? Even then, so that the preaching according to him was very vast and was very important even in the today's context. And that is that when you even are punished for wrong reasons, then you should not be adopting any wrong method to escape the situation. In other words, he says that no bad uh, action held against you can be rectified by the by the bad action by you itself, right? So means there is no such comparison between bad action against bad action, right?
Means
Otherwise the
he
entire
was
thing,
against the this particular theory, the tit for tat. He was against this.
tit for tat, yeah, tit for tat is not is nothing, a kind of an option according to him.
Yeah.
An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth
Yeah.
was a kind of a punishment in Mughal era, right? But
Mm-hmm.
according to him, it was absolutely, you can say, dangerous and absolutely, devastating, because it has the potential to even lead a particular society to face anarchism. And he also examined if by telling his position to his own friend Crito, that if he accepts his proposal and flees away from this jail or this detention shelter, then what is going to be the conditions tomorrow, that people would try to rescue themselves, people will try to to defy the punishments. There'll be a complete anarchism kind of situation arising in the society, and that will be the debacle of of a social system itself. So he always focused and concentrated upon one must follow the rules, the social contracts, and everything, and there is no such you know uh, you can say right for any individual to act wrong, or to act wrong against a wrong thing.
He
So
was
this
against immorality, right?
immorality against immorality was never the option against for him.
Okay.
So that was his own opinion, right?
Now, one thing I'm willing to ask you, when he talks about feigning ignorance, right?
Hmm.
So he just wants to convey that sometimes what happens when we feign ignorance, we can avoid many conflicts,
Hmm.
isn't it? This is what he's trying to say when he says, when he talks about ignorance, when he talks about feigning ignorance.
Hmm.
Is it? I'm reminded of one incident from the life of Lord Buddha. So, because he was a monk, so he would go from one door to the other asking for the alms. So, the same happened one day when he was going to the people's houses with a begging bowl. So, he started asking for the alms. there was a lady and she had a quarrel with her husband, and then she was in a bad mood. She came out and started abusing Lord Buddha, and he just left that particular door because he was never interested in arguing with anybody because he is known to be the forgiving one, right? So he
Right.
left that home and then he walked away. She didn't know whether it was whether he was the Lord Buddha himself. She thought that she was some monk, and he came and he would just you can say he was disturbing them because she was in a bad mood, so she was not at all ready to serve anybody. So
Right.
he left, and then he joined his disciples because they were also roaming around or they were going somewhere. And then a person came to that lady's house, and then he told her that Lord Buddha is just on a tour, and he is doing the rounds of different villages. Would you like to see his vision? Would you like to see him personally? She was willing to do that because he was the Lord himself. She went there, and then when she found that it was Lord Buddha who she abused, right? She fell at his feet, and then she started asking for forgiveness. Then Lord
Right.
Buddha said that I don't know what you are asking me for this forgiveness, because I don't know that you have done anything wrong, because Buddha doesn't know yesterday. Buddha doesn't know the past. Buddha only remembers the present. And no, whatever you said to me, that is a thing of the past. It has nothing to do with present. And therefore therefore the Lord forgave her. And this is what Socrates is trying to say. When we ignore the things, when you start feeling ignorance, we can avoid many conflicts, we can avoid many things which are going to be quite troublesome in the days to come, which can give you some pain and anxiety and some stress. And avoiding these things can prove to be
Right.
very prove to be kind of panacea to all these kind of illnesses and ailments, and the stress and anxiety, all these things. So this is what he was trying to say. One more thing I would like to discuss is Lord Socrates always he was always so much you can say he would always side with the morality, right? So what do you think, how can people, especially in today's world, uh, live peacefully, being moral? Because now you know very well that this is the virtue which is actually vanishing from this society, because now you
Right.
can see that people who are you can say moralist, people who are abiding by the principles, people who are abiding by the you can say goodness, are known to be the weakest person. This
Right.
is what I've observed in this world. If you are forgiving somebody, if you are ignoring somebody's faults, if you are ignoring somebody's misbehavior and mistreatment, they think this person is not at all powerful. That's why he's not willing to argue with
All
us.
right.
He's not willing to pay for whatever we did to him or her. So, what do you think? How can a person maintain morality, which he talks about? How can a person, you can say, live by these qualities, these goodnesses, while being in this world? Because this world is no more willing to have good people, because they don't believe in them. Actually, they think that these people are the weakest ones.
Right. Okay. So first of all, we need to look uh, at it, with our scanning eyes. First of all, we see that people around us come with different mentality. Moreover, they are the product of different situations and the circumstances. So to say someone wrong, to say someone ill-mannered, or to say someone uneducated, I think would be our fallacy, because we have been judgmental in some or other way
Yeah,
without considering one's position, one's background. There is no right to us to form this very judgment against someone. Now, this is the first condition. The second condition, that what you are trying to say is that when someone comes to you, and behaves uh, you know not nicely, and moreover you are very moralistic, you are the one who staunchly follow ethical values, and when you are committed to your values and at the same time you face this kind of uh, this ill treatment
Treatment,
from other people,
yeah, misbehavior.
then the situation sometimes becomes very harsh for that person, because then he is in kind of dilemma whether to be compliant towards on values and ethical values,
Yeah,
or to be come out aggressively to react against a person who is behaving immorally against you, right? Now
yeah,
in other certain conditions, I think see the very question that we have discussed earlier could be the answer to this question, that ask everything uh, on the validity, means you have to ask everything as a question, what is there to you, and then respond to it, right? So according to his this question we can solve this problem very very basic, very easily. I mean, everyone knows the importance of existence. Even the Socrates has accepted the importance of existence, right? Because your existence is your reality, and once you are die or once you are dead, I mean, there is no such left existence about you, right? So there is no talk about you. So when you have this question, when you have some people coming to you and behaving immorally or behaving you know unethically with you, you need to protect your existence, not just because of you are good or you are bad, but more importantly is that someone is doing something bad to you which you are not worthy of. This is a very clear understanding, because here your ethic, your conscience, and your moral values are also telling you at the same time that you need to come out courageously. So there is a difference between to be maintaining ethical values, one, and second, to be keeping yourself mum on every unseemly things happen before your eyes. Secondly, when you the very last point which I made, what happens in this case when you become silent and go silent completely on your part, it itself shows your weakness. It itself
and
shows that you are,
it encourages bad things.
it encourages bad thing, or it also shows your that side which is itself very unethical. In fact, it is written even in Gita
Yeah,
that to face unethical things, to face injustice, it's itself a crime.
is promoting injustice.
Yes, it is some kind of promotion of
You're
injustice,
endorsing it. You are endorsing it, right?
obviously. So we have to counter this. So it's not like that you are spoiling your own ethical values, but one thing which he has said it very categorically, if there is a situation of such kind arises when you are to abide by the rules law, the law of the country, then you should be accepting it at all cost, even when something has gone wrong against you, as what happened in the case of Socrates himself. Because there you comes in the social foundation, a social contract which is not written, but it is there to maintain the entire social system. So when any authority, the authority that regulates you as well as all people in a particular location, in a definite or a definite territory, then you should be abiding by all those rules without going against that particular authority and the instructions. It shows your will, it shows your determination to 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 be going consistently with the rules and regulation of the society, because it provides a certain stability of the society itself. When you become an inspirational figure, it becomes your duty to be abiding by to all those instructions, because many people behind you are following you. Your one wrong action could be an influential to many hundred of people, and these people would be following and going on your going on your footprints, right? So we have to be very careful in this case, maintaining a certain kind of a certain balance in meeting up with your virtues and in ethical values, you can meet up with these kinds of situations. You can resolve these kind of situations. Yes.
One thing I want you to shed some light on, because somewhere I want to know more about it. When he talks about virtue as knowledge,
Yeah.
Socrates talks about virtue as knowledge. So, can you be a bit more clear? Because I want to know more about it. So, what is it when he says virtue as knowledge?
See, I read about it. Virtue is knowledge. According to him, Socrates is very humanistic, first of all, because this very idea of him shows how polite he could be. Because when he says virtue is knowledge, so according to him, no person on this planet does wrong thing or any crime volitionary or voluntarily or
Yeah.
with his own volition. According to him, there is lack of knowledge which leads him to commit certain crime or certain
Yes.
misconduct or misdeeds, right? So
Yeah.
this particular statement is itself a very uh, a very you can say significant statement in many ways, because he is not going against the personality, but the trait of the personality. In fact, something very contrary happening in today's situation conditions.
Yeah.
We often target personality, not the trait. But this Socrates is telling us to target the trait, not the personality.
Yes.
For example, if someone does anything wrong, then person should not be criticized for his misconduct. According to him, it is just in his case he might be lack of knowledge, and therefore he has committed certain crime. Once he is you can say fulfilled, or once he's educated on that particular point, on that particular thing, I think he should avoid committing such crime, right? So in this way he deals with the situation. One example I want to make here to make this even more simplified for the viewers to understand. We have seen students, right? And students sometimes do cheating in the examinations paper, right?
Yeah.
Now this examination and this cheating is itself a kind of a sin. It's a kind of a misconduct that should be avoided by all students. But when a student does this with all his volition, keeping in his mind that there is some good results to be there for him, then Socrates comes in this case and says that even he does this action, of course it's a wrong action, of course it's a misconduct or misdeed, but it is not something that makes him responsible, because he is not knowledgeable about
He
that,
doesn't know his responsibility in the first place.
because he really doesn't know about his particular. So if someone knowledgeable, someone sensible comes there and teaches him the consequences of his cheating now and the repercussion that he might face in future, then he might avoid doing such mistakes in future. Therefore he says virtue is knowledge, and
Yeah.
therefore this very phrase becomes
I'm reminded
so.
of one incident from the book written by
Yeah.
Dale Carnegie, of how to win friends and influence people. So there is
Hmm.
an incident. There is a murderer. Actually, he was on the run, and the police was behind. Police were behind him, and because he wanted to get away, or you can say get away with the crime, he was just trying to hide himself. And suddenly, he was on the road. He found that there was a signal the signal was there, and the light turned red. So the vehicles were standing there, and then he walked up to a van, and there was a man, and he had a rod, in his hand, and he just hit the man on the head, and the man was just dead. He
Hmm.
took that car and then ran away. Then, because it was a stolen one, the car was stolen one, so he was just caught by the traffic police. And when he was taken on the remand, then the police asked him that why did he do so? Then he said that I didn't kill anybody. I just defended myself.
Right.
So
Hmm.
he didn't say that he was wrong actually. He didn't know what he did actually.
Right.
That was the, so he was not, he did not know what wrong he did, because
Right.
what he thought that he did that because he wanted to be alive. He wanted to save.
In fact, in the legal terminology, there is a word called mens rea. until the mens rea is is uh, is concluded as guilty, then no person is convicted of any particular crime. So there is a mens rea which is guilty nature. Unless a criminal, contains this very mens rea, while pursuing any task which is illegal in the eyes of law, that person cannot be held guilty. So you understand the intention that plays a very key role.
Yeah,
That what Socrates says, that it's your intention that makes you guilty of your wrong, deed. It's not your action, because actions are circumstantial. Some people do cheating, some people do stealing, but there might be different circumstances. One who is starving will have no option but to steal food.
yeah.
One who is he's running short of some financial need, he might steal some money, he might be doing some theft. So these circumstantial things.
Even though he knows, but his the circumstances necessitate it. They make it
Yeah.
in a way necessary because he's left with no option,
Right,
and
right.
he resort to this stealing and cheating and all.
At the same time, when you know that your intentions are wrong, and you also know that you are doing it for your own personal interest. Third, you are also in a very understanding that this particular action of yours is going to be harmful to many people.
Yeah,
Then you become a complete criminal, because you have satisfied all conditions which are
yeah.
necessary to hold someone, criminal. That what he says, and that what, constitution, even regulate follows right now. So there is a clear cut, interconnection between the philosophies as well as the policy makings.
So
Yeah.
as we have discussed everything which Socrates
Yeah.
was quite determined about, was kind of he was always ready to embrace death than to compromise with his principles. Now let's talk about the application of the philosophy and the role of
Mm.
philosophy in
Yeah.
today's modern life, because the life which Socrates lived was
Mhm.
the time when he was there. The time was completely different from the time we are living in. It's completely different
Right.
ball up game.
Mm.
So now we're talking about the role of philosophy in modern life, as we talked about uh, the the philosophy of questioning our existence, the philosophy or examining our life, the philosophy of sometimes feigning ignorance, and the philosophy of this virtue as knowledge. Now let's talk about the role of this philosophy in today's life, because we are talking about this modern era, because people must know how they can be benefited from the kind of philosophy we have just talked about, because um, somewhere it has got some lessons for us to learn, and if we learn these lessons and we start applying these practices in
Mm.
our life, I
Mm.
think this is going to be quite now quite useful, and
Mm.
we will really be living the best life possible on this planet. To be honest, and if I talk about me, ever since I started reading books and knowing about people who've been there and done that, people who've gained a lot of experience, people who have lived some enriched lives. So I can see the visible results in my personal life, and the results. I'm not talking about monetary gains. I'm not talking about the degree of success a person can achieve, but I'm talking about the kind of life a person lives actually, because our sole purpose, I don't know how many people are going to agree with me. What I think, the purpose of this life is a life of purpose. It's been written in by Robin Sharma in his book Discovery Destiny. So I'm really, it resonates with me, and what I believe is that if you can lead a very happy life, and if you can lead a very satisfied life, and if you can create a kind of aura around you which can you can say spread, or you can say diffuse positivity around, I think that will be, in my opinion, the best life,
Yeah.
because people must have some good opinion of you. They
Hmm.
should not be saying some good words because you know they are in your good books. They should not be going saying some good words about you because you have achieved a certain kind of position in society. They should not be saying some good words about you because you've amassed a lot of wealth. They should not be saying something good about you just because you've got a lot of property and a lot of bank balance. It's not like that. What I believe is, if you can bring smiles on people's faces, if you can do good to the people of the society, as a result turning this world
Hmm.
no into a better place to live, I think this will be called a life worth living.
Right.
This can be called a life that can be copied by others. That will be called a life that can set some examples for people to follow. So I've also seen a lot of good results in my life. First thing I have you know uh, gained in my life by following different philosophies and people is that my whole behavior has changed drastically. Earlier I used to be very quarrelsome kind of person. I used to uh, fight, I used to beat, I used to do all those sorts of sort of things. But as I developed the taste for reading and knowing about people who have done something good to the society, I found that we don't have to spend even a single penny if
Hmm.
we start behaving
Hmm.
nicely with people, right? So this is what I've learned through these life. One more thing, I always keep questioning my own deeds. Means if I'm doing something, what is the result that is going to be there, especially if I do this particular thing, and if this whatever I'm doing is going to benefit other people. Other people can be are really going to be benefited from it, and what consequences the things I'm doing will have, whether they'll be negative, positive, or
Hmm.
they can be very, you can say they can bring some positive changes in this world. So this is what I've learned from the lives of, and all the philosophies. If you compare,
Hmm.
the same things have been said in all the philosophies, whether this philosophy originated lakhs of years ago or
Hmm.
thousands of years ago, or you can talk about recent philosophy. Every first philosophy has taught us humanity. Every philosophy has taught us to do good to other people, and every philosophy has taught us to go easy on ourselves, right,
Right.
and on others as well. So this is what we are going to talk about. So Robin, you tell me, what is the
Okay,
role of
before you
philosophy?
say something, battery is about to die, so please put it on hold for a second before it
Okay.
goes die.
And this is what I want you to tell something about it. I mean, what is the role of philosophy in today's modern life? This is what results I've experienced in my life. What do you think? What is your take on the same?
Okay, but yes, right. See, there are many things we have discussed, right? We had discussed about the significance of asking question to everything. Secondly, we have discussed about the importance of ethical lifestyle,
Yeah,
right? And one thing we also discussed about in which we almost ascertained one fact that minimalism is often better than consumerism, right?
yeah, yeah,
So these are the basic and the rooted policies which we read in the philosophies of Socrates. Now there are much scope for the application of all these important lines and important understandings in the name of philosophies in the current situation, in the real time situation. Since we recently discussed about virtue is knowledge, now assume that in how many ways this idea could be applied to students' life, to even the life of a common person, and how we can maintain a certain relationship. Secondly, how we can minimize conflict, how we can not be judgmental at the same time, just by applying this very idea of virtue is knowledge, because it really teaches us a lot of things. As we have discussed that when you apply this very philosophy of virtuous knowledge, it means you don't reject someone just because of someone has done something wrong, because you have been you haven't been judgmental about the personality. You know, well, this is just his trait, this is one of his features
Yeah,
which actually led him to commit certain crime, and which is crime according to you, but according to me, according to him, it could or could not be a crime, right? So this amount of thinking develops at the same time, and our over understanding about the person develops and expands further. In fact, our relationship with the person even expands, right? So it is what you can say, a tool which works on making person more you can say understandable, knowledgeable, okay, and is more focused on rectifying those negative aspects of life than the personality itself. So this is how it is applicable. Second important point about he always talks about questioning the authority.
yeah,
What it means when he says questions the authority, it means that even when something uh, seems to be very magnificent, or maybe has been accepted by the majority, you should be dealing it with all critical analysis, critical assessment. That should be your first step towards understanding that. It itself shows that you haven't given anyone's priority much importance,
yeah.
because you haven't believed anything just because of something has been discharged towards you from a certain reasonable authority. So we are actually developing this very questioning mindset, and that at least makes people aware, and prevents, importantly prevents from falling into deep dungeon of pessimism.
Yeah,
Because ultimately when you go and accept everything without applying your critical assessment, then you almost fail to meet with all possible you know uh, possibilities about the same subject, which might be, oh, because like scientists mostly are of questioning mindsets, right? They often come out and do a critical assessment. They don't give a much attention to the personality and the fame of a person. They only talk about the relevance of
and
the discussion of the
that's why
point of view.
they're able to become innovators.
Right. So these are the things are applicable. And lastly, I want to say when Socrates says that ethic must be given priority over materialism,
Mm-hmm.
he actually means to say that richness cannot be the one which make full which may person's life fulfilled, right? It is your ethical values which makes you satisfied, which makes you pacified in all ways, right? Because if people around you have a good opinion about you, this is far better situation, this is far better compliment than someone being rich out of his unethical business styles. And
Yeah,
this particular ideology could be well applied in the business world. I mean, ethical professional ethics is what is the result of Socrates philosophies,
yeah,
where everyone is complied towards professional ethics. So there are professional ethics such as one has to be fully integrated with the instructions guideline of a particular profession. One, he should also be not dealing you know uh, deceitfully with his consumers or customers. There should not be any misrepresentation of the business or a misrepresentation about the object of a company to the customers. There should not be any wrong information about the product to a consumer, or a consumer should not be misled about the authenticity about a particular product. So all these things are very part of this ethical professionalism and ethical professionalism is nothing but a result of Socrates' philosophies, which is still working today and playing a very crucial role in maintaining a relationship between the owner of the business and the consumers. So all these things are there for us to have
So
as an application,
yeah,
as a teaching.
yeah, he teaches people to be rich by virtues, not by money, right? Because
Right,
wealth is nothing but the byproduct of your hard work, right? So if you are really virtuous, if you are hardworking, if you're good, the money will be there, the wealth will be there, right? And
right,
those businesses which have flourished out of, you can say, unethical things they did, they are, in a sense, they're undermining their foundation, and
right,
they'll come down, in no on the ground. They will come down on on this world once they have reached the peak, right? So with this, we are going to wrap the show, and I hope that audience has really got everything which we were talking about, how the philosophy of Socrates can be beneficial for people to live an enriched and fulfilling life. And we are going to come up with the other philosophies in the series, and all of these episodes are going to be quite quite amazing, and they are going to there is going to be a very deep conversation in those episodes as well. So with this, I'm taking a leave. I'll see you in the next video.
bye, good night.
Good night.